All right, sound check 1 2, sound check 1 2. Can everybody hear me? Anybody? All right, perfect. All right, so let's go into today's action. I've updated my charts just a little bit. And first, let's go ahead and start out with the futures chart. Let's just go there first. Let me go ahead and drag this over so we can take a look at it. Obviously, we filled the gap, right? This little gap that was right over here. We filled that today. And we're kind of holding steady on this 161.8 retracement. Everybody talked about this descending triangle that was back in here. It has broke that, obviously, to the downside. So now the question is what? Okay, and let me get this chart in here so you can see it better. Some of it looked like it was cut off. So the squeeze indicator has now fired off to the short side, okay? Obviously. So one can beg the question, are we going to come down and test the 200-day moving average on the futures chart? That area would be at 68.81. That number is climbing with each day. But what I'm more focused in on is like, how long would this squeeze last, right? You can see back in here, we didn't have too big of a drop, right? And then things turned around and came back up, but it just kind of showed the weakness overall of Bitcoin. So what I'm looking at as well is this, okay? And you've heard me talk about this time and time again, right? Price outside of Bollinger Bands, okay? And this is one of the reasons I took, and it was a risky little play last night, but I thought, you know, price was outside the Bollinger Bands. It might pop back in and maybe, you know, fail, you know, up in here somewhere like it has previously, but I got stopped out. It happens. Everybody loses on trades. But now we are still below the Bollinger Band, the lower one. See that? Okay? So let's watch. I'm not saying that we can't go down a little bit more, but any move lower to stay outside of this Bollinger Band is a buying opportunity, in my opinion. Okay? So we know, we've seen in the past what happens when price gets outside. It happened back here. Okay? Briefly happened over here. But usually it's been support or resistance. Okay? We're outside these Bollinger Bands right now. So the guess, and it doesn't look good on the EMAs that they're all hooking down, but that was kind of my feeling whenever I made that call about, you know, when the red alert came out, is that at resistance and EMAs all tightly bunched together, normally you're going to get a move to the downside. So anyway, here we are below the Bollinger Bands. I'm going to be looking to see if this low right here can hold. If that can hold, then we're going to climb back inside the Bollinger Bands and probably make a move, I don't know, maybe back up to the 100 at 9,400, and possibly even up to the 10 EMA, which will probably be a little bit lower tomorrow. Let's call it 9,500. So 9,400 to 9,500, and that's going to be a big area coming back through. Okay, and that'll give the squeeze indicator another red bar to come down, but obviously the green dot now is showing that it's a short. Okay, so what we're going to be looking for is to see where this bottom's going to be at. Okay, there's always the risk that it runs down to here and tests that moving average. Always the risk. and maybe even down to the 261.8. So you just got to watch your retracement levels and, keep a close eye on things. If you're going to go long, then make sure to keep a stop in place. It's going to get pretty volatile. So anyway, that's kind of what I got on the futures chart. I'm going to move this back out of the way, and we'll go over to the chart that everybody else seems to look at. This is the Coinbase exchange. Okay. This was an area of previous resistance, support, etc. I just kind of kept that line in there. It's kind of a, an area where it's kind of based before. And one of the things I was talking about is holding a base above where, after this last move, and it came down and broke through. So this is another area where you've got some interest. If it can hold that, great. If not, then I talked about this a long time ago, that this could be one giant, big flag, right? That would entice it to come down here and test the lower part of this. Not saying it has to happen. It could just come right down to here, or it could just bounce right off here. I'm still expecting that we're going to get a move off this and come back inside, and you can see even on this chart that price is outside Bollinger Bands, right? Big red stick, and it's just kind of sitting here below the 200-day moving average. So the guess is, if it can hold this low, we're going to climb back inside, but find resistance at that upper or lower Bollinger Band, and then again at the 10 EMA, which will drop a little bit lower on tomorrow's candle. It's not going to do it tonight. But this is going to be an area of resistance. And more so, probably even going back to here where old support was, right? This little area right in here. So now 92, 9,300, that area, 94, that's going to become resistance now. So watch that area if you're playing a bounce. Okay, and let's go ahead and do this. And this is just in case it's a low, right? If it's a local low, and let's just say, just for giggles and grins, if it does hold, let's throw on some Fibonacci numbers and see where that resistance might line up. Let's see if I'm right or not. 38.2 is at 92.21. 50%, 9,500, 61.78. There's your resistances, right? And we're still staying in this downtrend channel. Obviously, everybody called the descending triangle. But the question now is, does it run all the way down and test here? Or does it find support and just run up? So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of people that lost a lot of money today or got stopped out, thinking that it would break out to the upside. And there was always that chance, but the odds were not for it. Okay? Any questions about Bitcoin? And while we're on it, let's go over here and look at let's see, crypto. Let's go to like a weekly chart. And that's not real pretty. Okay. That almost kind of leads one to think that it might come down and test this support level down at 7,400. Right? Again, if you're wanting to try to play along, then make sure you got to stop in place, because you could get in, it doesn't bounce very much, and it drops all the way down to here. And what's even more interesting is looking at today's bounce, right? When it tried to bounce. One would think that if it was really, really strong, that it would have just cleared stops and then rocketed right back higher. If that's what they were trying to do. And I say they, but, that's just what it is, right? And this is a 4-hour chart. You can see right now it's trying to get back through the lower Bollinger Band. That'll be the first step. Lower time frame charts, try to inch back into it. And let's see if we can get back above this support zone, which is now going to turn into resistance. Okay. And again, right around 9,000. So if it breaks that, then just, watch your EMAs, watch your fib retracements. Still though, I think it's a decent buy here. I'm not saying to risk the bank on it. But it's one of those that you could go, 25% in. Because if it drops down to 74 or 7,400, then you throw another 25% in. And then you just average down your, at some point this thing is going to climb back inside the Bollinger Bands. Okay? Don't doubt me on that. We've seen it before. Saw it on all the altcoins when everybody thought they were just going to go to the moon. And yours truly was talking about things going outside Bollinger Bands and that they had to pull back in, right? Kind of like ZRX. Remember this? Outside the Bollinger Bands, and look what happens. Right back inside. I mean, I could go over numerous charts when things were everybody was all excited that the bull market was, I say bull, but that it was going to go to, the moon. But look what happens when price gets outside the Bollinger Band, especially on a daily chart. It can't sustain. It has to come back inside. Okay? And that's XRP. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin didn't get too far outside its Bollinger Band, but it did get outside of it and came right back inside, and now it's down below the lower Bollinger Band. Okay? I still think this one has a little bit more to drop. It lost this fib cluster right here. It's probably looking like it could be 50 to 51, maybe. That's possible. I mean, unless it breaks through and gets back inside, I think probably maybe it comes back inside and then drops back down and then maybe takes off. Ethereum. I haven't updated this chart. I know it got stopped right here at the 78.6 retracement when it was trying to go up, and I think I even mentioned that 223. I didn't mention it originally, but after it broke, I thought it would pull back in here when it was outside the Bollinger Band, and I was wrong, and I think I even said this thing may actually go to 223, which it did. So anyway, let's go ahead and take those Fibonacci retracements out since it's broken those. And right now it's kind of holding the that ain't right. Or is it? Yeah, 161.8 could actually come down to 140-ish if it breaks this support. It's kind of holding on to it. Need to do it on a closing basis. But things are getting interesting and wild, guys. This is actually, what I've been waiting for. When you get those Bollinger Bands so tight like that, like they were, that's why I came out with that red alert. When I see that, that just screams of just watching what's going on and be prepared, right? And when it couldn't get above the 10 or the 20, it couldn't close above it and make a move, that was almost a signal that this thing was just ready to blow down to the downside here. So Anyway, questions? And by the way, I'm not panicking. Not at all. I think this is actually kind of healthy for Bitcoin. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to ramble on again about Bitcoin some more since nobody has any questions. And this is one thing for beginners to look at, right? Is after we've had this big move, and I talked about this a while back, we're going into consolidation mode, right? I don't view this as like a lot of other people. Well, I say a lot of people, but there's some people that's calling this to go all the way back down to 3,000 or even 1,000. I'm not in that camp. I think we'll probably end up finding the bottom, maybe 7,100 to 7,400. And who knows? On the futures chart, we got a Fibonacci retracement down around 65, I think. So if that were to happen, this comes all the way straight down and we stay within this flag pattern, right? And then this thing really takes off. So just something to keep in mind. It's not something you have to rush into. There will be bounces. But this is going to take a while, guys. This is not, I don't know that this is something that's going to just, go like straight up. But I think we just kind of meander around here a little bit and then we start to move, right? It's like they're going to try to find the bottom, Let's let the moving averages play out. They're obviously bearish right now, so be careful of any longs that you get into, okay? If they start to break the 10 and the 20, then you can feel safe about taking some longs, but watch them coming back. So that's kind of what we got there. And that's, other than Bollinger Bands and Fibonacci, the moving averages are the key, right? You've got to watch those. Those are the key players. Okay, your 10, your 20, and your 50. And for Bitcoin to really get going again to the long side, and it's going to take a while for these moving averages to play out. They're not just going to, unless there was some major news or something tomorrow, which I just don't see happening. I just think that this thing's going to take into October, maybe even middle October, if this thing finds a bottom and get the moving averages turned back around. And who knows, by that point, maybe we break out of this flag pattern and go to the upside. Still a lot of resistance, but let's see. JA, I think it's, right now, I think it's probably going to be a dead cat bounce to start out with. And that's probably what you're going to hear. And I would tend to kind of agree. I don't think it just rockets right back higher just now. I think it will over time, right? I think it'll eventually find its base and just hold it and then go, right? But we've got to see evidence that is actually the bottom, okay? I liked the dip down to 8,500 to fill that gap, but I'm not going to sit here and just say, hey, it's the moonshot. We need a catalyst. And I just don't know what that catalyst is going to be yet. Right? The backed news is already out there. That was already, somebody asked me about that the other night, and I said it's already priced in. Everybody bought into that news coming out, right? And when the news finally comes out, that's what you get. right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. It's typical. So I would say let's take some baby steps first. Let's get back above the 200-day moving average. Let's get back inside the Bollinger Bands, and then let's go sideways for a couple of days and see what kind of action we've got. You know what I'm saying? And Abram, I'll check out RVN here in just a second, buddy. But I would say just, watch for a dead cat bounce inside the Bollinger Bands. Okay, watch for that. And then just watch your Fibonacci retracements. Watch that 9,200 to 9,400 area, real close. See how it reacts off that. Might even get up to 9,500. This is on Coinbase, not the futures. Futures are a little bit different priced. But watch, like on your, I'm sure people use Binance or, whatever. But just watch those areas, 9,200 to 9,400, maybe even 95. Which would be a nice gain if it did that, right? That would be like a, 700-800 point move from here. But make sure you have a tight stop to make sure that this isn't resistance, that lower Bollinger Band, and that it wants to drive a little bit lower. Because there's a chance you could get it down a little lower down in here. Okay. All right, so let's go to, Abram wants to look at RVN. Real quick, holding support. Resistance was right here at the 61.8. Not getting past that obviously led to this going a little lower and not really sustaining a move above the 50-day moving average or 50 EMA. That's kind of concerning. But as long as it can hold this support down in here, what is that, 285? It might still be okay. But you want to see it just kind of hold right here, get back above the 10 and the 20, and take on that 50. Okay? Right now, I think it's kind of in no man's land. All right, back to Bitcoin. Any Litecoin holders out there? In fact, what I'm going to do, while I got this, I'm going to take out, and let's go ahead and update this one. Just see, 261, where's it at? There we go. Let's go ahead and just update this chart real quick. So I broke the 127.2, and let's take that out of there. All right. And so for me, the next, big time resistance or support for Litecoin, probably around 50 to 51, maybe 52. And again, this is another one that could do the dead cat bounce and then come back and do this, right? Ethereum kind of the same way, although Ethereum looks a little bit stronger. It's held this 161.8 retracement, which was support back over here, here, and here. Hey, thanks, Match. I appreciate it. Yeah, based on everything I was seeing, I saw that to me at the time, it looked like in the next few days or, like I said back then, early next week, which was this week, something had to happen. There was a move that was going to happen, and we got it today. And trust me, when I see something big coming, I'll put the alert out there. It'll be a red alert or something. But Ethereum, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of in that camp that, we still have this fib cluster down here at 142, and that's a strong fib cluster, by the way. So whether it just holds in here, and this is one of the few, other than that upside move, look at the Bollinger Bands on this one. Litecoin and Bitcoin both went outside their lower Bollinger Bands, but Ethereum did not. That's rather peculiar. So, interesting. I mean, this one could, for all I know, it could bounce off this, come back up into the 190 range. But it has to hold this area right in here. This is pretty key support area. Go over to some shorter time frames. Let's go look at the 4 hour on it. Yeah. And this little right here, that's almost like an inverted cup. But this thing's been in a downtrend, except for right here. So is it going to be a dead cat and come back here? Who knows? That's on a 4 hour chart. But stochastic RSI is really oversold. Things can stay oversold, but the guess is that this probably bounces. Let's look where everything's at on the daily. See, the daily still has a little bit more, a little bit more room to come down. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is been oversold for a few days now. It can still stay that way, right? So don't just look at this down here and think, okay, well, it's oversold, it has to bounce. It doesn't. Okay? That just kind of gives you an alert that it could, right? And always keep that in the back of your mind. But things can stay oversold for quite a while. I mean, you can get some bounces in between, but things can stay oversold for a while. And indicators only work because of what? Price action. Price action is the key. That's what drives indicators. So we're going to be looking at divergences, right, in the future coming up. It's not something we can really look at right now because it hasn't happened. But the nice thing is that at least we got this nice little red volume stick. Okay, and some people would say, okay, well, that's bearish. Well, I'd look at it like it could be a blow-off, right? Like back in here, everybody was talking about huge volume coming in. Look at that green stick right there with the volume. Well, guess what? That was the top. So when I see something like that, what I would, if you're bullish, right, you want to see a green stick come in tomorrow and almost try to match this red stick, right, on volume. See? See what happens? Price action. So watch the volume. Okay. Still got a lot of time left in this game, boys and girls. Don't get just caught up in thinking tomorrow's the moon or tomorrow's a crash. We've got to see how this plays out. I'm bullish. Okay. Have been for a while, and I'll be that way probably until, me personally, I would like to see 6,600 hold, right? This little area back in here. That would be like, that's the area I want to see hold. Because I think I called back in here, getting back above 6,000 was going to be the new bull market, right? That's the area I was looking at. So I want to see that area hold, right? Some people are probably going to say, look at 7,400. right? Which was this area back in here. And if you draw a straight line across, 7,400. But to me, back in this 6,500 to 6,000 range, that's gotta hold. Gotta hold. So we'll see what happens. Any questions or any other charts anybody wants me to look at? Did anybody at all short this today or make any money off it? I don't short anymore, by the way. I haven't shorted in years, so I hate shorting. ADA. Yeah, let's take a look at ADA. Let me go over to my... Do you want the Bitcoin or USD pair? Or does it matter? USD. All right, let's go over to the USDs. All right, so, ooh, yuck. Okay. All right, so let's do this first of all. I'm going to go ahead and throw on some support levels. There's that. There's that. And let's just go ahead and change the colors of them so that they'll show that they're support. Green is support. All right, so let's go green. All right, so there's those two levels. Okay, now let's scroll in. Let's dive in deep here a little bit. And let's go look at some retracements. So I'm going to take it from this low to this high. All right. And let's just go in and see if maybe if the 127.2 held up. Pretty close. Pretty close. 127.2 and this support line. Price is below the Bollinger Bands, and that lower Bollinger Band is trying to act as resistance. But I don't think that's going to hold. I think it's going to climb back in. So let's take a look at where some retracements might be. And hopefully it holds this low. If it doesn't, you've got an area to watch. But let's go 38.2, 50, 61.8, and let's do that. And we'll do that. All right, so if you're in at, 0.038, your first step is going to be 0.043. Okay? And I would imagine that probably in the next day or two is going to be some heavy resistance because your 10 and your 20 are coming down. The 10 is probably by either tomorrow or the next day, it's probably going to be right at that 38.2. Okay? That's where it's going to be. So that's going to be an area to watch. And then after that, the 50 is kind of a lighter type resistance fib. It's not huge, but the 61.8 and the 78.6 are. So I would be watching this area if you get in, and if you do get in, just make sure to keep like a stop below this low right here on that red stick, because if it drops this area, then it's going to come down to the 161.8 and possibly even down to 2 cents or 2.5. So that's ADA. Let's go look at ZRX on the USD version. Oh, very nice. All right, good deal. Yeah, good deal. Hopefully you get a nice little bounce there, and just remember to stick to the trading plan, right? What have we always talked about? Don't hang around for nothing. Make sure to get your original investment out plus some profit. And although it may be small profit, it's profit. And if you're surviving in this game, you're doing a lot. Because there's 95% of you out there that are not. Right? So be one of the 5% that are still hanging around. ADA. All right. Let's see. We had ZRX. We kind of went over that one. What else is people talking about? There's BAT. BAT looked good until that right there. Just kind of like ZRX the other day. It hit that 200-day moving average and just didn't like it. And just said, nope. Went down and made lower lows. So was really thinking altcoins had a decent chance here, but boy, they proved me wrong. They proved me wrong. I kind of liked this rounding bottom type of action and seeing it break through and then get that sell off. That's rather disappointing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's go back to... Let's go look at some weeklies. There we go. All right, so on this weekly chart, I think I can now... Yeah, this resistance or this support zone right there, that's gone bye-bye. Actually, let's get rid of, what do we got here? Let's get rid of that 78.6. Let's get rid of, oops, wait a second. Clicked on the wrong one, my bad. All right. Get rid of that 78.6 and actually I need to redo this a little bit. You guys will be able to see it live. We've broken past the 50, is that right? Yep, we did. All right, so let's take out the 50. We still have the 61.8 and the 78.6. There we go. All right. So coming back down, 61.8 retracement on the weekly chart is at 72.31. Lower Bollinger Band and the 50 EMA are right here at 7,800. So this is going to be an interesting little area to watch, guys. The more I look at this. The only problem, and we'll see, this is a weekly chart. It's not closed out yet, right? But if Bitcoin can climb back in right here and get above the 20-day moving average, that might scare off some bears, right? It might scare them off a little bit. What they're wanting is a close below that 20-day moving average. And more specifically, the 50. If they can get that, then things probably get really bearish. But this is all closing prices. Doesn't mean it can't wick down and then turn around and close back up. I'm more interested in where something closes at. But I do like how it's bouncing or trying to hold the 50 EMA on the weekly chart. That's pretty important. And the lower Bollinger Band. Because what can happen most times is the lower Bollinger Band or the upper Bollinger Band, depending on direction, they can almost act as a springboard, right? So let's just see if that's a springboard for this to go higher. It'll take a little time. It's a weekly chart, right? So it's not like it's going to hit here and then just all of a sudden magically go up to 16,000, right? That just doesn't happen. But maybe it holds right here and then the next week starts to show some progress, or the week after. So we'll see. See what happens here. Questions? Chart requests? And I am recording this, so everybody should be able to go back and watch this. I'll repost it maybe in the channel. Maybe I need to create a sidebar for my videos, I guess. Or a new text channel. So anytime I post a video, I can just throw it in there and people can go click at it. Jordan, yeah, I did. Let me go look at it real quick right now. This is the weekly chart, and I'll get back over to my other one here in a minute. This is kind of like a simple chart that I use, and I'm probably gonna have to update it. Yeah, let me get rid of all that. All right. So weekly chart for Ethereum, and let's just do this. Let's throw on this Fibonacci here. And this is rather interesting. Okay. All right, so on Ethereum, and I'll go back to the other chart here in just a second, but on the weekly chart, from this low to this high, it's testing the 78.6 retracement, right? Or it did today at least. It wicked down to 143. So, or did it? Let me see. 153. So it got in the ballpark, okay, of this 143 area, which is still doable. It's still possible. But I'll just tell you right now, you don't want to see this candle pattern close this way, right? At all. So this is going to be an important area for Ethereum to get past. It wants to close and needs to close like back within that green candle. This is a bearish engulfing candle right there. Okay? That's obviously there for a reason, like back here. Right? So when it hit 300, look what happened. Just dropped on that bearish engulfing. Same thing's trying to happen right here. So if that happens, where's that going to lead to? You know what I'm saying? So let's keep a close eye on that. And I'll go back over to my other chart on it. And we'll look at it on a daily. Okay, let's see. There we go. Zoom it in a little bit. So this 161.8, right? There to there. It's holding this low, or trying to, right here. Trying to hold that low. If it can't, then it comes down to the previous chart that I showed you where I said 143 on the 78.6 is right here. Fib cluster right there. Okay. I don't know that I would be in an all too fired up hurry. Although you could, like I said earlier, I mean, this lower Bollinger Band is trying to hold as support right at the 161.8, but it's hooking down a little bit. It could lead to a little bit lower, but maybe it crosses back in and wants to go up and test. Let me get rid of that since it made a lower low. Let's just go look at some fibs on the, if that is a bottom. Then you can do this. $38.2, 50, 61.8. So then you're going to be looking at 183. If it bounces from here, 183 to 191, that's your area that if you're in right now, and if you just bought, that's the area you probably want to take profits and go with the trading plan, right? My trading plan. Be kind of cool if it did hold that and just went higher, but we shall see. All right. Any other questions? Litecoin, I think we already went over that. Let's go and look at some fibs on it just in case. I don't think that's the bottom on it, but I could be proven wrong. I really don't think that's the bottom for it, but anyway, if that is, then 64 to 67. Bitcoin again. Again, it really needs to get back above that 200-day moving average. That is going to be huge. Going to be key. If bulls want to get hopefully a sustained move, but I think this thing's going to just come creeping back inside. Maybe hit up in this 91, 9200 area and then just get thrown back down, but we'll see. I could be proven wrong. Really needs a retest of that low, right? Really, really needs a retest of that low. All right. Any other questions? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Had to get me a beer. All right, so can't believe nobody has any questions. Any other charts? Anything to look at? Bitcoin dominance, maybe? Let's go look at that. Power of fibs. 127.2 held it on that retrace. I mean, almost to the penny. So, let's see about where this fib cluster up here was. I may have to redo. Yeah, that one comes out. And I'm going to leave that one in because that was a longer term one. So now let's go ahead and redo it and see if we get another cluster lineup. I will almost laugh my ass off if it lines up. Yeah, nope, it didn't. Okay. All right, so let's do this. 38.2 gone, 50 it broke, so it's hitting 61.8% retracement. Obviously, if it gets through that, it's probably going to test 72.40. How do I get the fibs? Yeah, so let's see if I can remember. Right click on it, settings, and then you may have to scroll down a little bit to see this little area. And I'll leave this up here so you can look at it, but just make sure your settings are just like mine. Like I say, I'll leave it up there so you can do it just like mine. You got it? Okay, cool. Did that help? They're all over to the right now? Ah, you're welcome. Perfect. Love it. Okay. Sure makes things a lot cleaner, right? You don't have to worry about it being right here in the middle or over your price. You can't see moving averages. Just sticks out there to the right. Okay, so that's Bitcoin dominance, which obviously has come back inside the 50-day moving average, back above the 10 and the 20. So now for altcoins, you almost want to see it just kind of like stop right here. Or stop at the 78.6 and then turn back down. And again, I'm not an Elliott wave guy, right? But I can kind of eyeball things. And I do know about 5-wave corrections, or maybe even the start of the move. But here's how maybe, and let's see if I can use their tools. Let me see if I can do this. Let's do this. We could go 1, 2, 3 impulse move. And then if this is a 4, then wouldn't a 5 come down possibly to here? But the one rule of Elliott wave is that wave 4 cannot violate wave 1, right? I do know that. So as long as Bitcoin dominance does not break above this 61.8% retracement, then it should drop. And if it doesn't, this is where Elliott wave just confuses the crap out of me. And it takes a lot of keeping up with, and I totally respect those guys. I got to tell you this, I respect the hell out of them because it takes a lot of work. You have to do a lot of ifs, that's, whens, and do a lot of other stuff. But if it goes above that, then who the hell knows what that was? Was it just an ABC? But an ABC of what? That's where they have to go back and back and back and back to figure out what wave of this is that. And I mean, much respect out to those guys. Much respect. Too confusing and too time consuming for me. I do not have the time for it with a day job. So that's why I never really got into this. But I do understand the basics of it. So is this something that could happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5? We'll see. That would be good for altcoins and it'd be good for probably Bitcoin, I guess. In fact, I'm going to leave that on there just for giggles and grins. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying that it's going to hold it, but that would be funny if it did. All right, so that's the Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's go look at ETC, which is one that I was really liking a lot to make one of those moves like this back here. And so far, it's kind of just, it's outside Bollinger Bands, but it could get nasty as well. Although, hang on one second, guys. Let's look at this, okay? We're talking about divergences. And if anybody doesn't know about divergences, raise your hand. And don't feel like you're being stupid. This is what I'm here for. Okay? This is all about teaching and learning. But if you do not know about divergences, then say something. Because I'm going to go over it. All right, well, I'm going to pretend that some people do not understand what divergences are, okay? Here's an example of what might happen, okay? Okay, yeah, Kevin, absolutely. Yep. All right, so I'm going to go over this just real quick, okay? Actually, I'll take my time. Sorry, I'll take my time. Okay, so let's go back here to September 13th, okay? And I'm going to, if I can get my drawing tools going, guess I'm going to have to do let's just do a rectangle. Let's go back here. Oops. And put it right there. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with price. Kind of where it lined up, right? Darn thing, hang on here. Yeah, stupid thing's not wanting to cooperate. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's just do an ellipse on it. No, can't do that. All right, so let me do this. All right, so you see where the indicator is right here. Okay, I've got it highlighted. If I just take the dotted line and I go up to where price is, see where price is, where I've got it highlighted right here? 55.38. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the right. Okay, you see how indicator has gone up. Okay, and it's working its way back down, but notice how price is going lower, but the indicator is not going as low as back here. So what we're looking for is this, okay? And you can't act on it right now because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But let's just do this. Let's just say that indicator holds. Let's say that indicator holds right there. Price starts to move up a little bit, and this thing hooks, okay? And it holds in this area above this low on the indicator. Price lower, indicator higher, that's a bullish divergence. Okay? That's a bullish divergence. If that happens, and I'm saying if because we don't know tomorrow what's going to happen. This thing could go lower and the indicator could go lower below this and come over and just meet it. But it is one of those to keep an eye on, because if it holds this area and indicator stays where it's at, you've got a potential bullish play, right? And it works the same way in reverse, okay? Same way in reverse. You have to watch for bearish indicators. Higher price, lower indicator. Okay? Does that make sense? It just means the underlying strength or weakness, depending on your view, is there. But we don't know this until, and I'm going to get that out of there so you can see a little better. We're not going to know this until probably tomorrow or the next day. But it's one of those to keep an eye on, and one of those I'm talking about when price is below Bollinger Bands. This thing could sneak back inside and who knows, maybe consolidate in this area and then make a move higher. Does that make sense at all? Or do you want me to go over it again? And by the way, I have no problem going over any of this stuff again and again if I have to. That's what I'm here for. And guys, if you would, do me a favor. If you would, just hit the like button or subscribe. That would kind of help me out a little bit. Just, I mean, if you like it. I mean, if you hate it, then obviously don't hit the like button. But I mean, I want to try to, my goal is I want to try to grow this channel a little bit and reach out to as many as I can. Oh, okay. All right. So, oh, thanks. But Kevin, okay. So you got it. You know, you understand now. Okay. And I'll just put a ray on here so you can see what I'm talking about. See that? Lower price, higher indicator. Okay, cool. So anyway, that's ETC. And by the way, I'm not in love with it, but I still think it's one of those that could at some point make a move higher and maybe even go up and test the 200-day moving average. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. I have no clue, but that's one of those that I'm going to be really, really interested in. And if it can, like I say, look at this. Here's the other thing. Let's do, well, look back over in here. Okay. This, and you can see, look at the wick today. right? This is big time support at the 161.8 retracement right here. You got this support right here, broke out, came up, met resistance, came back down, and then got a bullish engulfing off that low. So somebody is interested in this area. I don't know who or why, and I don't really care, but they're interested in this area. And so you get the bullish engulfing off this, and you get this nice move right here. My whole thought was that back in here, it would probably bounce off the lower Bollinger Band and go through and follow the other alts, which it didn't. Maybe it had to come back and retest this before it does this. But this is one I would keep a close eye on. Again, it's one of those that with the way alts are these days, you just never know what's going to be up 20 or 30% in a day or 10% or what kind of news may come out or what may drive it. But this is one to watch, especially with this possible divergence here. And I say possible because it hasn't happened yet. But keep a close eye on ETC, BTC. All right, David, you want to look at Link? Do you want the USD pair or BTC? US. All right, let's go over and look at it. Okay, so I have not updated this chart in a while. Let's go take a look. Oh, wow. This is kind of the oddball of the day, holding up as well as it is. Interesting. This is kind of a weird little wick right here. This thing is just volatile as all get out, and sometimes it makes me question whether that range was actually true or not. What was there any news with this yesterday, or did anything happen, or is that just bad prints? Okay, so no news. Interesting. All right, well, let me just I'm going to start over on this thing a little bit. I may hold. All right, I'm going to keep that fib in there. I'm going to take out the 50 since it kind of wicked through it. I hate doing that, but anyway, 217. Wow, she's starting to move a little bit. Let's look at. I got to take that out. I think, yeah. Let's take that out and let's just kind of see. Let's do this. Okay, so coming back down, 61.8. God, it may almost be better. Man. God, this area right here, that 50-day moving average, look at that. That 50-day moving average on Link, at least going back to here, has kind of been a showstopper for it, right? The 10 was, and then all of a sudden it got above the 10. 20 held it, got above it, consolidated there for a while, and then it came back down and just kind of, whether that was stop losses, going after stop losses or not, I have no idea. But now it's just rebounded off that, and it might put in a bullish engulfing tomorrow. So, and not only that, but the EMAs are kind of tight right here. I would say you would want, let's go over to a shorter time frame chart and let's see what we want out of this. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is you had an uptrend, you got a big time doji, and then you got the red stick right here. golly, I would be kind of, let's see, let's do some fibs on this 4 hour. All right. Here's my suggestion, okay? This whole move right here could be short covering, okay? It could be bullish as well. I'm just saying this reversal pattern right here, even though it didn't get confirmed by another red candle, it's still one of those that I'm real cautious about when I see a doji. You know, you got this little uptrend, you got a doji followed by a red stick, right? That's a reversal pattern. So coming back in, I would say you want to get back above 195. If it breaks above 195, that's the 78.6, and that's probably going to be resistance on any move it makes, probably even at the 186 area. That's going to be some resistance, especially right here at the 200-day moving average. But your key, and look at how this lines up. Is this just not amazing how this works? The upper Bollinger Band is right at the 78.6 retracement, okay? So that's the area you want to get through, right? So let's see if it can just consolidate in here, maybe even close above the 10 and the 20 and just maybe meander a little bit sideways and then try to make a move to the upside. But I'm just telling you right now, unless some news comes out that just makes this thing blast off, the 61.8 and the 78.6 are going to be resistance. So just keep that in mind. And again, this is another one of those. Look at this. Price went outside the Bollinger Bands, right? So if you were lucky enough to get it at $1.52, here you are sitting at $1.80 and you've made some money, right? It's kind of risky business buying something below the Bollinger Bands, but look what happens though, almost like 95% of the time. Price climbs back and gets inside. Oh, okay. Good deal, David. What's your long-term view on it? If you don't mind me asking. I don't get a chance to look at a lot of TA on these things, but is this the one that had some sort of deal with Google or who was it? And I'm sorry to be stupid, but I really don't have time to research these things. But is this the one that had a deal with Google or something like that, or am I mistaken? Man, wasn't it back in here or something, or July, where it had that huge move up to 5 and anyway. Not sure if it did or not, but I could have sworn it had some news with somebody that caused that big move back in here. And you get this big red stick on the volume right here, which, who knows, maybe they got everybody out of it. Now they can run it higher. Who knows? Interesting. All right. Any other charts to look at? Any other requests? Let's go back and take a look at, see if Bitcoin's doing anything. Probably not. Nope. Just kind of meandering around here at the 200-day moving average. Everybody see that? Right there? I still think it breaks back through that and gets up into the 9,200 area. That's what I'm thinking. Be kind of nice though to see it. Let's look at the 4-hour chart and see if it actually yeah. I mean, it tried to test it previous low right there, and if it can just get this green stick going, it can come up and test the 10 EMA at around 9,200, and then we'll see how she reacts from there. But again, I hate to keep harping on it, guys, but outside of the Bollinger Bands, when price gets outside, it comes back in. Okay? It comes back in. I'm not saying it's going to stay there, but one would think that this price comes back in, and then we'll see what the Bollinger Bands look like tomorrow. This is probably going to go a little bit higher. This will probably come back a little bit lower, and then maybe they'll start to hook in, and then we can start getting tight again, right? Because it's going to take a little while for these to get tight, So it could get kind of volatile in here. Just be careful. 8 to 5 gapper, yeah, no doubt. 8,500 gappers. That is for sure. Kind of all knew that was coming. Let's see. I think I need to take out. I'll leave it there because it kind of retested it right there. Anyway, watch the Bollinger Bands, guys. If you don't have them on your charts, put them on there. EOS today. Oh, golly. Nice little bounce there off the 161.8. And price is trying to come back inside the Bollinger Bands on it. Totally missed that one. See what ZRX is doing. ZRX is doing a nice job at kind of holding this 200-day moving average right here. Had the nice move coming back inside. Could be one to watch. Could be one to watch. Let's see where the fibs line up on this one. See if we got any clusters. Right? And I'm going to draw it so you can watch. I'm going to draw it from multiple areas, right? So you see how I'm drawing it from here to start out with. And then let's go put the 38.2 and the 50 on there. All right, so there's one retracement, okay? Now let's go up to the highest high right here and come down to here. Does everybody see that? See how I'm doing that? And see how some things line up on each other? I'll do it again. I drew one fib from here to here. You got your Fibonacci numbers lined up right here, okay? Let's draw another one. Let's go up from this high to this low. What lines up? See how this area lines up? 22 cents, 0.223. That's going to be an area of resistance, right? This area up here, resistance, 78.6 and a 1.272. Those are just areas to watch for, guys. That's all Fibonacci is. It just lets you know. And not only that, but coincidentally enough, this little area right here is just below this high. So this could come down, come back up, hit that and be resistance. Or it come up here, hit resistance. Could come up here. 61.8 and a 38.2 are pretty darn close to each other, right? See that? That'll be resistance. So these are areas you just have to watch for. Okay? Area there, area here. But so far, ZRX, nice little bounce off the 200-day moving average. That looks like a very important zone for it. All right? We'll see if it can hold it. Right off the lower Bollinger Band, trying to bounce off of it. Let's see what she's got. If not, she's coming down to test the 78.6 at 17 cents. So if this move fails, back down here she goes. Did y'all see how I did that on the fib clusters? Pretty interesting stuff, huh? So there's so many things you guys can, and I'm not trying to overload anybody into this, but, start simple. Start with your moving averages. Get to know your moving averages. And then throw on your Bollinger Bands. Get to know those. Then you start doing your fibs, which I actually kind of recommend your fibs and moving averages first. And then throwing on your Bollinger Bands. Then you can start looking at candlesticks. And once you start to put all those together, you can kind of get a feeling of what might happen, right? Or where things, general direction of things, where a reversal might happen, where you need to get past, a certain area to be able to get to the next one. All right? I mean, this is all not, it seems confusing, I'm sure, for some people, but it's not rocket science. It's really not. Sometimes there are some people out there that don't even use Bollinger Bands. They don't use Fibonacci. They just use moving averages and that's it. They just look at a trend or a pattern, and if they see something going up, they stay with the trend until it goes against them. But ZRX was one of those that was, you get outside Bollinger Bands, you get a doji, you get that red stick that's telling you a reversal is getting ready to happen, comes back up, you get some latecomers to the party, and then you get another reversal stick. You can't make a higher high, and everybody gets out. And then that leads to the cascade coming down. Right? So now what do? We look for a reversal pattern for the upside. Not saying this is going to happen because there's still a lot of time left for this to go, but that could be a reversal pattern. Could be. Not saying it will be. Could be. And much like ETC, look what's happened here. You got this. You've got indicator doing this, and you've got price doing this. Oops. If I can get it. There we go. Now it's going to be a pain. Okay. Or you get price doing this. Lower price, higher indicator. This could have been the start of something. We don't know, right? But that it's holding the 20-day moving average or 200-day moving average, and you've got a potential of this, a bullish indicator, right? Bullish divergence. These are things to watch for, right? Things to watch for. Lower price, indicator holding up. And if this starts to turn, much like ETC, then alts could be in for another major move. And not only that, but I think I posted a while back is that, this time of year reminds me of when I traded stocks or penny stocks, like how long ago? 20 years ago. There was always a certain time for them. Okay. You could almost bet your bottom dollar that after Labor Day, things would start to get interesting, and that's when you could start taking positions in things, because you knew that by the time October, November rolled around, and even into December, things were going to just blast off, right? And so you got these, and I don't know if it works this way with the cryptos or if you've got institutional guys or, most of these guys, they want to make money before Christmas time, right? So what do? You go out there and you try to rip people off and scare them to death out of their shares, and then you turn it around. And then you start sending people out on Twitter, out on Facebook, out on anywhere they can dream of to try to pump these things. And lo and behold, what happens? You come out with news, you come out with, you name it, all kinds of projects, whatever, and price just starts to move higher, right? But people aren't going to believe it because what's been happening? All during the summertime, look at this. Springtime, summertime, they drop price, and then, oh, by the way, here we are, we're getting past Labor Day, and I'm going to start running price up. Then I'm going to scare the crap out of them, and then I'm going to run it up again. So these are things to watch for, guys. I mean, penny stocks did this all the time. You could almost bet your bottom dollar around the holiday season that things were going to run. And that was the time to make your money. And then by the time January gets around, get the heck out. There may still be a little bit of playtime, but just be careful. And then just, if you've made enough money, then take the rest of the year off and come back and do it again next year. That's how it always worked back then. So now that this has started to make its turn, let's see if it can hold its 200-day moving average and keep things going in the direction. And so by November or December, we might be looking at, and I'm not saying it, I'm not calling it, but you may be looking at ZRX around 50 cents and everybody's going to be going, oh, wow, I didn't buy it back there at 18, 19 cents. It happens. Well, and ZRX, not to give any credibility to it or anything, because, again, I don't know what the hell ZRX does. I have no clue what this company does. I just look at the chart. And this is one of those that it's listed on Coinbase. I think it's one of the few that was listed on the Binance US, I think. So they're not picking junkers, right? They're not going to have that labeled to them. They're not picking junkers. They're going to pick some stuff that's reliable, right? Yeah, decentralized. Okay, that makes sense. So anyway, let's see what happens. I don't see and I don't foresee things just falling off a cliff. I really don't. I think this is all a nice correction here of a move that was made, and maybe it's time to go and make its next move higher. My opinion. And if I'm wrong, trust me, I will come on here and tell you I'm wrong. All right. Does anybody else have anything they want me to look at, or do y'all want me to just continue babbling on about what I think might or might not happen? I'm pretty good at babbling, by the way. Dash. Let's see. I don't even know if let's see. I think I saw it on. Somebody mentioned it on Twitter. I don't know if I ever looked at a chart. Hang on. Maybe I did. I just don't remember. There's Dash right there. That's the beat. Oh, wow. Ooh. Interesting. Okay, so this is Dash Bitcoin. Oh, God. Here's another one, right? Here's another one. Possible. No. Take that back. I can't count it as a bullish divergence right there because of that. But wow. Would this not be interesting? Again, this is way early, guys, and I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I'm liking the action coming off this bottom and potentially putting in a bullish engulfing candle right there. And see how price is climbing back inside the Bollinger Bands? See that? Price was outside. Now it's coming back in. Golly. Bollinger Bands are awesome. In fact, I need to send old John Bollinger freaking private message and say, man, you're the man. But amazing. Price outside, comes back in, price outside, and then boom. Price outside, coming back in. Can it make a move kind of like this one did? And then go higher? Interesting. Very interesting. That almost makes me wonder. I'm going to do this just for giggles and grins. This had to be like the 127.2 or 161.8 where it bounced. Let me look. Too funny. Okay. Take all those off. Yep. Pretty darn close to the 127.2 right here. And of course, I don't know if I'd hit that just perfect or not, maybe. So now let's look at it on the flip side. And let's look at where resistance is. 38.2, 50, 61.8, and there's that. All right. Interesting. So Dash could possibly make it back up. I mean, obviously, first resistance is going to be the 10 EMA. Then right in here, and then guy right there where that 50 EMA is at the 38.2. That's your area to watch. This little area right in here. Be rather bullish if it got above that 10 EMA, though. That would be... Get it up in here. Yeah. Nice little hook on the stock RSI. Again, candle is not closed. Okay. So I hate getting real excited about something that hasn't closed. But it just gives me something to watch, right? And that would be a major reversal right there. So anybody with Dash or whatever, that's if it, and especially if it can close above that red stick. If it can close above that red stick, that's a major reversal right there. Major reversal. But for now, you know, just keep everything. Don't rush into it. Don't FOMO into nothing. This could be short covering right here because the shorts have had a nice little run and these guys are covering right now. That was a good percentage gain for them, by the way. So anybody that was short up here or short back in here, that's a nice move. All right, so that's Dash. Impressive. Let's see. Let's go back to... What other alts are out there that might be something to look at? Did I not see somebody... it was Trading Room. Didn't he go long Matic? I could have sworn I saw that. Let's take a look at Matic. I thought they went long on Matic or something. Maybe I'm wrong. And I don't know where they had their stops or anything like that, but I mean, Matic is in play. There's no doubt. Something's going to happen here pretty soon. Look at all these moving averages bunched up together, just kind of holding steady. I mean, there's a base being built right in here, but the base for what? Right? See this? Big, huge move, down, and then sideways. So this could be one, who knows, for longer term, this thing may make the move higher, but you've got the risk of coming back down to 119. Right? So if one had the risk for it, you could potentially buy it here, but just knowing that you could also revisit the 119, 120 area. That's only 10 sats, you know what I'm saying? 10 or 11 sats, but depending on how much you risk, that could be a lot of money to a lot of folks. And you could just get stuck, right? It's one of those you could just get stuck in a 130 to 140 range. Hey, Peter. How you doing, man? We're just kind of going over some altcoins, my thoughts, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stuff like that. So, yeah, exactly. Really, really exciting. No doubt. Something had to happen, right? Had to give. EOS, I talked about that one just a little while ago. Let me pull it back up. And this is the USD version. Yeah, so I mean, it did a nice job of, even though on this move, the best thing that I would have thought was that it would have held the 200-day moving average and then gone higher. But look what's happened. It's come down, and now it's retraced down to the 161.8, and it's bouncing off it. Right? Price trying to climb back inside. You know, and I'm not going to say it's my fave, but it's one of those. One of those that's going to be good over the longer term. And then let's look at like on the upside. You know, price was way outside. I mean, and this is the other thing, Peter, I was talking about is that Bollinger Bands. These Bollinger Bands, when price gets way outside, right? And look at this, way outside on EOS. If you've got the nuts for it, you could actually take a risk right here, okay? And I'm not saying right there, but even back in here, 260, you may have had to put up with a little bit of pain, but if you had your fibs on there, you could have said, okay, well, it broke the 161.8, it's going down to the 261, or whatever. 161 is where it ended up. But you could have said, yep, it hit that fib, that's where I'm going to buy. And then look what you get. It hit $2.41, and now it's bounced 50 cents. Price is trying to move back inside the Bollinger Bands, and your resistance is going to be $3.10. Right? That's a 70-cent move, which is a huge percentage, right? And then you just go with the trading plan. You know, you get your original investment out, plus some profit, let the rest ride. And then if this thing decides to take off and go to the moon, you know, or go up to 4 up in here, who cares? You're riding free shares. You don't FOMO back into it. You've got free shares. And then if you see another opportunity come up where price is way below the Bollinger Bands, same thing. Or if it's above. And by the way, guys, if you're in something, okay, and I'm just going to say this, if you're in something and you see price and you're lucky enough that you got one of those that news came out or whatever, and price went way outside the Bollinger Bands on the upside, then get out. That's your signal to get out when price moves outside the Bollinger Bands. Don't sit around there and wait for, you know, I mean, obviously if you've got a fib retracement you think it might hit, then yes, you could take a risk and wait a little longer. But me, I would be taking profits. At the Bollinger Band, yeah, I mean, it's one of those that the Bollinger Bands are one of those that they can act as a springboard, right? And especially more often when the moving averages are spread out, right? But when you get moving averages that are tightly bunched together, then more than likely price is going to move outside the Bollinger Bands. Okay? They're just going to move outside. When you get moving averages like this, you know, or I could pull up another chart somewhere, but when you've got a range and your moving averages kind of spread apart, that's when, you know, the lower upper Bollinger Band will hold as support or resistance. Right? And look at Bitcoin right now. This lower Bollinger Band, is acting as resistance. It's not, I don't think it's going to hold. I really don't. I don't think that's going to stop it. I still think Bitcoin at some point by tomorrow or the next day is going to be 9,200, maybe even 9,400. But then after that, we'll see what happens. I think eventually this will come up. It'll probably test this 10 EMA. We'll see what happens, whether it's strong enough or not. And then it could come back and try to test these lows again just to see if that's really a low. And if it's not, then it's going to break and go all the way down to, I think, 7,500. Wide open mouths. That's funny. All right. Let's see. That's the 4-hour on Bitcoin daily chart. And look at this. That was a 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, right? 4-hour. Daily chart, it broke below the 200-day moving average, but look at this. Now the 200-day moving average is resistance. Okay? It's resistance. Lower Bollinger Band is still up here around 9,000. And again, to go back to my point, I just think that this thing is going to come up. It may pause at 9,000 a little bit, just psychological area, whatever. But I think it's eventually going to come up and test the 38.2. And that's going to be the key area to get through, at least to regain momentum, right? And if it can't get past that, she's probably going to come back and retest the low. We'll see what happens there. If it doesn't hold, 7,500. What? David, 6,800? Yeah, I mentioned that. I mean, that's almost like a worst case scenario, right? To me, that's a worst case scenario, right? So I could go back here and probably, well, 6,800. Let's do this. You got this wick back down in here, right? 6,600. That's your worst case scenario. All right. It's possible. Yeah, 6,800 is very possible. I mean, if okay, let's go back and look at this, right? Let's go back and look at this. And you got the bottom here. You got this big vertical move up, right? Vertical move up. And is this just a giant flag? I think I posted about that, and of course I took out the bottom part here. I don't know why. But I think I posted about it a long, long time ago. Is this a giant flag? Is that a giant bull flag? Now, if it is, that means price could come all the way down to that 6,500 area and then bounce off that and go to the moon, I guess. But that's going to take some time to play out, you would think. But I don't know that I want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I want to see price stay above the 200-day moving average, or at least in the vicinity of it, real close, right? Because if you go all the way back to here and you look at the moves that were happening when Bitcoin went vertical, you know what I'm saying? It never, I don't think it ever went below the 200-day moving average. It tested it, right? Tested it there, tested it here. Didn't even test it there, and then went vertical. So I don't want to get too far below the 200-day moving average, and I do not want the 10, the 20, and the 50 crossing below it. That's bearish. That'll send this thing into a bear market again, and probably won't recover until, it may be March or April. So everybody should really, really hope that this area right here holds, or if it happens, a wick, like a quick wick. And I'm not talking like, wick and then, just hold. It needs to wick quick and then turn and reverse quick. Either that or it turns right here. You do not want to stay below the 200-day moving average very long. And we do not want these moving averages all of a sudden becoming major resistance. Okay? Let's see if we can hold this area, curl back up, and then start to move. Okay? Whales want us scared. I guess. I don't, to them guys, and that's been my point, is that they're not scared. I mean, they have millions of dollars. What are they scared about? They got their boats, they got their mansions, they got whatever. They're just sitting there looking at the little guys, and probably have people on Twitter or whatever as they're, they pay these guys probably so much per month just to go in there and post crap. You know what I'm saying? It happens. So be careful of who you follow or who you're watching. Just go back and look at their track record and what they're saying. They pay these guys. And it's nothing to them. It's chump change. They can go in and pay them to say whatever they want for them. You just have to use it and take it, use it to your advantage. Think like them. And that's why I've been saying that altcoins, even though they had their bad drop today, that going into the end of the year, I think they're probably going to rock. But then I would be out by the end of the year or early next year. It's a cycle, it happens. All right, guys, any other charts or anything to look at? XRP, it's bouncing like everything else, kind of. I think I can get rid of this little area. There we go. Haven't updated this chart in a while. Let's take out. Let's do this. Take out the 61.8. That 1272. All right, there we go. Oh God. XRP bounced off the 1272. Interesting. Let's take that out. Let's take that out. And let's go ahead and update XRP for the upside. And we'll see if anything plays out in the future on XRP. There we go. All right. So probably 0.275 or 2578 on XRP. What was everybody else talking about? ETH BTC. That's interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. Had this trend line in. It still held the trend line and reversed off of it. So let's take a look at some fibs on it. This is the Ethereum BTC cross. Okay. Let's go up here and see where she might be one to hold. Or where she might go. Broke the 38.2. Let's get rid of the 50. And it's the 61.8. All right. So that's going to be the area, maybe even the 78.6 on it. If anybody is in ETH BTC, still have to get past this downtrend line. All right. Boom, boom, and just boom. All right, so that's that downtrend line. Let me make that a little bit thicker. Oops. There we go. All right, guys. Any other questions? It's almost dinner time here, so all right, guys. I am going to go ahead and shut it down. I did record this, so if anybody wants to go back and rewatch it, they can. And I will try to be around a little bit later tonight if I can. If not, I will catch everybody tomorrow, and good luck trading. Take care, guys.